First, let me be first to say welcome to Fusion 2017. We're really glad that you're all here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tim Belber. I'm the PPI Dean of Fusion. And the reason I'm up here is because I'm going to try and inspire you a little bit to open your creative channels as you move through the day.
You already have.
Well, thank you. No, my work is done. Let's go have some more coffee. Besides being the Dean of Fusion, though, more importantly, I'm a friend and colleague of John A.'s. And before we get started, I would like to ask everyone to give John A., Julie, Gail, Tiffany, and all the folks who helped us to put this together a hand, because it's a big thank you to him. It's a big thank you to him for creating the venue for us to do this. What I want to do today during my time is hopefully stimulate you, energize you, make your creative muscles exercise a little bit. I just want to poll the audience real quickly. Do we have any artists in the room? What's your medium?
Writing.
Writing. Hartley? Any others? Yes? Pardon me? That is... Okay, so you have writing, music, life. Anybody else? Any other artists out there? Any photographers? Photography, okay. Okay. I'm going to get back to that in a minute. But first, I want to do what my friend and colleague Jay Hughes talks about, and that's let's engage our imagination stations as a way to kick off this meeting. I want to do a little exercise. And any of you who have done this exercise with me before, I'm going to encourage you to just observe so that everybody who's doing it for the first time will have the opportunity to really experience it in a deep way. Now, this is very high tech, so you're going to need a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil. So everybody grab something to write with. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to name a common object. And you're going to have 2 minutes to write down as many possible uses as you can think of for this object. Pretty simple rules. Now, anybody out there get 18 or more uses? How about 15? 10? That's pretty good. Pretty good. 8? 6? Okay, that's about the normal spread. When people who register genius on other ways of measuring that do this test, they tend to get somewhere between 16 and 18. But in just a second, I'm going to show you how you could actually blow right past that number. But first, call out what is one of your favorite uses that you wrote down. And it could be most practical or one you just say, hey, I really like this idea.
Or places for a button that popped off your shirt.
Okay, a button. Somebody else.
Hair tie.
Pardon me?
Hair tie.
I don't.
Hair tie.
Okay. Somebody else?
Cufflink.
Cufflink. Interesting. That's one I haven't heard before.
Paper airplane weight.
Paper airplane. Very interesting.
Lockpick.
Lockpick.
Fingernail.
I'm not writing that down. Pardon me? Bookmark. Okay. Those are all good uses. Now, let's do the counter on that. Tell me something you can't use a paperclip for.
Make a phone call.
Okay. Phone. Food. Okay, well, I got the answer I was looking for the quickest. Who said it couldn't be a chocolate paperclip? I didn't say metal paperclip. All I said was paperclip. But our minds immediately implanted, we brought up a prior imprint that when someone says paperclip, we're automatically talking about a small metal object. As you go through the days, today, tomorrow, and however long you're here, when you start having a limiting assumption, stop a minute and ask yourself, am I sticking the word metal in front of paperclip again? This is a really interesting exercise for those of you who work with families who feel like we've heard this before, we know this, we know this. This is a fun exercise to start off a family meeting with. Now, I have to give attribution, as I promised him I would. Michael Gelb, who wrote How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci, is the one who introduced me to this exercise. And if you really want a book that will start stimulating your creative thinking, that is a great book to read. And it's also a great book to recommend to families who want to try and think outside the box for how their family wealth is going to work for them. You know, you can go to Michael's or you can go to a higher end store and you can buy some off the rack art. Something that is hanging there and you look and say, that might look nice over my couch. Or you can decide, I want something that's us. For those of us who are into photography, family says, we want a family picture. The artist photographer will then say, all right, first tell me, where do you want it? You want inside, outside? You want formal? You want casual? Do you want all family members, including in-laws? Do you want your pet in it? Do you want it in the summertime? Do you want it in the wintertime? Do you want this to be part of a series where each year you'll create this series of what's going to happen with your family? Or are you viewing this as a one-off that's going to hang somewhere in the family home? That's the real artist method, where you take a vision of the patron, and in this example I'm going to use a mosaic tile list. And if you've ever looked at some of the mosaics, particularly the old ones, they start with this massive pile of really pretty individual colored tiles. Each one of them is bright and shiny and generally has great color. But when they take their skill and apply it to their patron's vision, they end up with something like this. Now I want you to look at this really closely. This is one of the Justinian mosaics. And if you look at it, you can see, look at the shading. And think about the person who commissioned this. And if you look really closely, you can see there's a grat right there. And there's an eyelet. And there's a will. This is what I'm talking about artists. I asked the question about being an artist. And we all immediately jump to something that has nothing to do with what we do in our business. But we have the advisor's method. The advisor's method is not really any different than the artist method. We start with the client's vision, their dreams, their hopes, and their goals. And then we take our available strategies. And if you think about it for a minute, we're just like the mosaic artist. We have this pile of really shiny, powerful technical tools. And sometimes we become enamored with how shiny one or two of them are. But when we think about, we want to apply them in an artistic manner to what we do and the work we provide for our clients, you end up with a purposeful, meaningful, and sustainable family wealth strategy and plan. Just like that mosaic I showed you, imagine applying all these different strategies so that you create something that looks like a mosaic that your patron is really proud to have. So what I want to do now is, and I have to say this is brand new technology for me. I'm going to try playing a video. This is about creativity. And I want you to think about yourself as an artist as you watch this. And think about the struggles, think about which you might have to overcome, and think about what it would mean if you could bring this level of excitement and creativity to what you do every day when you get up in the morning.
To create, to bring something that once was not here, and now here it is. Creativity is more than a job or an act. Creativity is a practice, a journey, a lifestyle. Doing our best creative work day in and day out is difficult. It wears on your mind and your emotions. You've been tasked with producing a miniature miracle every day to bring life, awe, and inspiration into the world. And as if that were not enough, as an artist, there is a terrible fright that seems to accompany every act of taking something you've created and putting it out there for the whole world to see. I have found an excellent approach for doing my best creative work: having fun. When you find yourself sitting there, staring at your blank canvas, or your blinking cursor, or the unused roll of film, and you're feeling stuck, remember, have fun. Lighten up, loosen up, take the lens cap off, put your fingers on the keyboard, dip your paintbrush in your favorite color, and go have fun. Yes, it really is that simple, but it's also a fight. And that is why we can, and we should, take great measures to set ourselves up for success. But how so, you say? Well, identify the things that suffocate fun and creativity. Know the things that encourage creativity. Then, together, we can wage war against the former and cultivate the latter. First, let's talk about those rude and selfish things which suffocate our creativity. Isolation, ambiguity, fear, anxiety, shame, doubt, comparison, disillusionment. These will cut off our ability and our desire to do our best creative work. They whisper in our ear, telling us our idea is pathetic and our art has no meaning. They plead with us to give up, to move on, to quit, and to pacify ourselves. They tell us we have nothing unique to offer and that we have no value and that everything will come crashing down at any minute, so why even bother? When we live with one or more of these stiflers for too long, it can lead to burnout. And when we're feeling burnt out, we think that quitting is the only medicine. Don't quit. Instead, get rid of the ailment. You owe it to yourself and to the rest of us to do the best creative work you can do. So, identify these enemies in your life and fight them. Quit the distractions. Admit your creative struggles. Move to Atlanta. Only write and publish after 9 p.m. at night. Sell all your lenses but one. Whatever it takes, because it's worth it. And because you were never meant to be defined by what you could have done. Now, let's talk about those things which stimulate creativity. There are many things which serve as both the seedbed and the greenhouse for creativity to grow and to flourish. Community, clear goals, trust, experience, rest, diligence. These are the things we want to cultivate as much as possible. Build these into your life and guard them with tenacity. Though these are not replacements for talent, knowledge, perseverance, and hard work, they are the things which will help our creative muscles to grow and to flourish. You need a community to help you in cultivating your ideas, to encourage you to keep working hard, and to be there for you when it's time to take a big risk in the face of something you're afraid of. Clear goals help us to make our ideas actually happen. Looming unanswered questions often lead to inaction and procrastination. Overcoming that is often as simple as just defining an end goal. You have to trust your skills, trust your gut, trust your value as a contributor. Yes, the more experience you gain, the more your skills will grow. But if you wait until you've arrived to begin your journey, it's a logical impossibility that you will ever actually arrive. You have to step out the front door and start walking. And speaking of stepping out the front door, experience is your ally because the more times you've gone down that same path, the more familiar with it you become. Thus, experience breeds confidence, And so not only are you getting better at your craft due to the nature of repetition, but also you're getting better because the confidence which experience breeds can help you to loosen up, to relax, and take new risks. A surprisingly critical part of maintaining a consistently creative lifestyle is stepping away from the creative work at hand in order to rest. I've heard it said that the mind is like a car battery. It recharges by running. If you work with your mind, try resting with your hands. Build something out of wood or plant a garden. And diligence. Spend your time wisely. Try writing down a schedule and a routine that can help you to be accountable to doing the work every day. Diligence isn't a personality type, it's a skill we learn. And it is silly to think that a creative person should live without routine, discipline, or accountability. What's so great about having fun in our creative work is that it stands as a signal telling us we are in the zone. When we're having fun, it usually means we feel safe to dream big and to take new risks. Not to mention, having fun will give us a natural boost of energy that helps us to persevere and bring our ideas to life. However, having fun is not the premier goal in the fight to stay creative. The goal, the hope, is that we can do our best creative work day in and day out for years and years to come. What does our creative work look like? I believe it looks like a gift. I believe creativity is, by nature, an act of humility, an act of serving. Perhaps that is serving an ideal, or a calling, or the people around us. A life of creativity is a life of serving and giving to others. Because creativity, by definition, should bring life. To find fulfillment in our work and to build things which delight and inspire others, we must create using things which give life. Love, generosity, kindness, empathy, mindfulness, joy, awe, mutual sacrifice, peace, trust, goodness, purity, honesty, humility. These are the foundations of creativity. They are the lifeblood of art. There are also things which take life, things which will dry up our creative juices and rob our art of its ability to delight and to inspire others. These things are selfishness, pride, dishonesty, theft, greed, irreverence, fear, impurity, worry, hate. If creativity is, by definition, about bringing life and serving others, then it's a logical impossibility that you can create something delightful out of greed, fear, and the like. Why do these foundational principles, these guiding principles, even matter? Because as we stand in the dark, blindfolded, aiming to hit that ever-moving target called art, these things help us. Infusing life and delight into our products, building something truly great, well, this is an ambitious goal, and it's one that is surrounded by ambiguity. There is no checklist that includes all the details which need sweating over, because we figure it out as we go. It's on a project-by-project basis. Even experience will not provide all the answers we need to create delightful art, because every project is different, every situation unique, no two solutions exactly the same. What experience does tell you is that it's worth it to sweat the details. Experience has taught you that delight does matter, and through experience, you now know the right questions to ask. Serve others with what you create. Give. Build your art with things that give life.
This was put together by a guy named Sean Blanc, B-L-A-N-C, and he writes about creativity and art. And if you need something that you want to feel inspired by, subscribing to his newsletter. He has some online courses, but he's done some, I think, some amazing stuff that stimulates across the professions. Where I find creativity, well, let me back up. The reason I'm here talking about this today is because I had an experience, and for years I said 15 years ago, but it's probably closer to 18 or 20, to be honest. When a client called me and said, Tim, would you come over? We need to review our planning. You know, our youngest child just got married. We just had another grandchild, and we think things may be out of date. And I said, sure, that's what I like to do, and that's what I do. Then they said, you know, we hate talking about this stuff. but at least you're pleasant to be around. I hung up the phone and I realized I had become a professional necessary evil. And I said, this is not going to be satisfying for me. So around that time was when I met the three people who have influenced my professional career the most in the last 20 years. Scott Fithian, unfortunately no longer with us, Jay Hughes, and John Warnick. By being able to spend time with those three people, I was able to find how I could bring a level of creativity into the work I do and greater satisfaction. These are my takeaways from that video as I think about my life as a professional within the financial services wealth planning industry. First off, he talks about community. I can't stress enough the importance of finding a community that will support you in being creative and artistic in the work you do. And PPI is an ideal community. I'm fortunate enough to have 3 communities where I get juiced and fed and inspired. But I urge you to think about, am I in enough communities to do that? Because being alone doesn't really work when you need to be able to explore new ideas and new thinking. Second one, he mentions experience. For those of us in the West, we understand that the only way you become a better fisherman is time in the river. And that's what this is. You have to jump into the river and build some experience. And that's where the community can help support you. Third is take new risk. Now, as a lawyer, one of the things we're taught is never ask a question that you don't already know the answer to. That's not taking a risk. You ask the question, tell me your children's dates of birth and names. You know the answer you're going to get. But to take a new risk is to say, tell me about each one of your children and what you hope they have in life. You have no idea what that answer is going to be, but that type of exploration in a new way will help fuel and feed a much more artistic and creative opportunity for you. Bring life and joy. Now that may sound like a funny one for, that may sound like an odd thing when you think about creating family wealth plans. I don't know if Rebecca's here. Rebecca, are you here today? No? Okay. There's a philanthropic consultant I know who her mission in life is to allow families to experience the joy of philanthropy. And what she does is she takes away the burden that comes with having things like a private family foundation and creates nothing but the opportunity for joy. Think about that for yourself. If the work you did actually brought joy to the clients that you were able to work with. We have the opportunity by helping position how people think about their financial wealth, and that's part of what Fusion is all about, to help people focus on the joy of being a family. Now, we can't do it alone, but we can sure work on one of the big divisive elements that affect families. We can help them regain that joy of being a family. Here's a big question. Can a family wealth plan bring delight? Remember, Sean talked about delight in the details. I have a client that does a grandchildren's philanthropic program that was designed to involve grandchildren as young as 5 years old in the family philanthropy undertaking. If you ever watch a grandfather sit there and watch his 5-year-old grandson hold up a poster board with pictures of the volunteer fire company and talking about why he wants his $250 allocation to go to them because of all the things they do, you will see nothing but delight in the grandfather's face. So think about that. Ask yourself, what in this work that I'm doing is going to bring delight to somebody? When you start asking yourselves these kind of questions, and maybe you discuss them with your peers, you're going to find that there are actually new avenues open to you. Everything isn't a metal paperclip. There's a lot of chocolate out there, and it's just waiting to be applied. Okay, I have a challenge for you. I want you to think about your work going forward as a commissioned artistic project. You meet with a client. You're there as an artist. Your medium is whatever aspect of the financial services world or legal world or planning world that you happen to be in. And then I want you to think about your own process. And we all have a process that we use. And what is the opportunity that you have to add some new creativity to that process? Take an hour with a legal pad, or if you prefer, use Omni Outliner or something like that, and lay out what is actually my process from the time I meet a client to where I work through their hopes and their goals. Whatever that is, I believe, is my final product, my artistic product. Where can you add some new creativity to it? Where can you find spots to delight people? Where are the friction points that I might be able to eliminate where I find myself or my clients stumbling? We very rarely will say that we stumbled when it comes to not getting something implemented, but if we take ownership of completing that work, then look for the points where you're stumbling. This is another interesting one. What is your creative statement about your work? This is, again, something to think about, and think about it as you go through the various sessions, because when we put in this together, we try to have a session specific to various aspects of the legal and financial wealth planning world that are based on, here's how you can bring some creativity, here's how you can bring some delight, here's how you can make a difference in your client's life. And Chris, are you out there? Chris Fenn here? No, not yet? Okay. Well, he's missing an opportunity then. Just as an aside, what got me thinking about this was, Chris told me once, he said, when someone asks you, how are you different than another lawyer? How are you different than another insurance person? How are you different than another financial planner or investment manager? You don't answer the question by trying to describe your difference. The way you answer the question is, here's the difference I make in my client's life. It takes you in a completely different place because now you're focusing back on your clients. And so if you have a creative statement about your work, you'll have a much clearer way to define how you can be different, how you make a difference in your clients' lives. And lastly, how does your work enhance the lives of your clients and possibly the world? If you're bringing joy and delight and beauty as an artist, you should be able to look at your work and say, this is how my work enhances the lives of my clients. And on a bigger scale, possibly the world. Bringing the delight of family philanthropy is enhancing the world as well as enhancing your clients' lives. Okay, so with that, my challenge to you is delight in the details of what you do. And if you don't, find some delight and build something great that gives lives. And this is the only conference in the 30-some-odd years I've been in this industry where I actually get a chance to explore those things on a broad scale. So thank you for being here. Enjoy the next couple of days and take away some thoughts on how you can become a better artist for your clients. Thank you.